There you
There
go.
we go. Welcome, everyone. We really appreciate everyone joining us this afternoon. I think we all know each other, but so we have a wonderful opportunity to be able to have Melissa MacLean, parentheses Missy. I just learned that she goes by Missy sometimes with CMS, and some of her coworkers are with us today. So thank you guys so very much for being here with us today. During these times, we are so very fortunate for you guys to be with us and talk to us about the CDO application renewal process, and then information in reference to our CACs, which are our certified application counselors. So without a further ado, Melissa, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Okay, thanks so much for having me, Iva. I appreciate that. And my colleague Meredith has joined as well. She and I manage the CDO program for CMS. So if you ever send a question into the CAC questions inbox, Alex, who's also on this call, and his team, and then Meredith and I, we all manage those and handle those responses that go out and answer those questions. Um, I presented to the PCA group a couple weeks back, and we talked about things like right now it's the CDO renewal process, which is every time all CDOs sign a 2-year agreement with CMS. So every couple years it comes due that you need to re-sign that agreement. And that is going on now it started, I believe the first agreements were due in February, at the end of February this year. So that process started in January because you can access and renew your organization 30 days before your expiration date. Have been going out for organizations that are in that time period and it's time for them to renew. It's important that you do renew by your expiration date. If you don't renew by your expiration date, then you can become deactivated. And then you would need to, if you wanted to continue the work, reapply to the program. And which would mean you'd get a new number. If you were approved, you would get a new number and you'd have to assign all your CAC's new IDs. So it's good to get that taken care of. Those messages and emails come to you from the CAC questions mailbox, and they go to your 3 leadership contacts that you have on record with CMS. So when you applied, you were asked for an organization senior official, a CAC project director, and then a not mandatory or an optional field for a secondary contact. So you can have up to 3 people that manage your account or record with CMS, and those are the folks that have access to the organizational maintenance web form. And you can make updates to if your organization has moved, if any of those staff members have changed, if you add or take away CACs, those folks are the ones that would be doing that in the organizational maintenance web form. I'm going to pause there and see if anybody has any questions. I'm really here if you guys have questions or concerns to ask, and we will try to get those answered for you. So does anyone have any questions about the renewal process or the web form?
Also, any feedback that you have on the process, pitfalls that you see in it, or things that hurdles you've had trouble overcoming, that sort of thing. We're just trying to see if there's any way we can, improve this process for you within the guidelines that we have to sort of adhere to. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Meredith. Yeah. This last year we implemented DocuSign, which has made that process of renewing your agreement more streamlined and faster process. You no longer have to download your agreement, go walk it over to your senior official, have them sign it, then upload it all back and deal with size limits and all of that stuff. So that should be making this process much more simple. We have had a few organizations who cannot access DocuSign for whatever reason with firewalls with their organization, and we do have a process if that is going on, but it works the best if you utilize the DocuSign process. So another thing that CDOs are responsible for doing is within the organizational maintenance web form, we have a feature called the CAC roster. So when you hire staff or when you have staff that is going to be operating as a CAC to assist consumers with enrollments, they first have to be listed on the CAC roster with your organization and then assigned by you a CAC ID. And your CAC ID is a 13-digit alphanumeric number that's based off of your organization's CDO ID. So your organization has a 8-character alphanumeric number that identifies your organization. And then your CACs have 5 extra numbers on the end of that that identify each one of them. So for the CAC to go through the training process, which they have to take annual training every year, to go through that process, they first have to be listed on the CAC roster and assigned an ID by your organization. And then they can go ahead and sign up for training. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the CAC IDs or the roster? Questions about that?
Melissa, I had a question that was posed to me
Sure.
in reference to the leadership that is listed on the CDO agreement.
Mhm.
If someone leaves the organization, do they have a certain time frame? And can you stress how important it is to make sure that it is updated?
Yeah, so it's very important. So we've basically, years ago, back in 2018, we refreshed this program and we created this database and the organizational maintenance web form and all of that stuff for you all so that you guys can manage your own accounts, for lack of a better word, with CMS. Um, so one of those 3 contacts that you have that are designated as leadership contacts needs to be able to go into the organizational maintenance web form and keep their information up to date. So like, let's say Iva left, God forbid, and she no longer was going to be the CAC project director, and let's say Becky was replacing her. So Iva would need to go in while she still had access to that system and make that change and update it so that Becky would then have access. And it's pretty easy. We have user guides available when you log in. I think it's the top right. There's a user guide. There's a link up there, a hyperlink that you can click if you need to look up the user guide. We have micro learnings available. I don't know, Alex, if you could throw the micro learning link into the chat, that would be appreciated. That help you guys through these processes. You can always reach out to the CAC Questions Help Desk. We, answer these kinds of questions all the time and can give you step-by-step directions. If you're having difficulties with something and, it's not getting resolved, you can reach out to me. You can get help that way. So yeah, keeping your information up to date is crucial so that we have the right people that we're getting in touch with instead of sending out these notifications and news and changes that go on and nobody's actually getting them. Um, it's nice to have that updated before you go ahead and renew your agreement, so that that information is current and you don't have to make changes like at the end of that process. Um, so I know that many of you are aware, speaking of the annual sister certification training, that the plan year 2025 certification training was taken offline back in February and was down for quite some time. It is back up and the training has been updated and refreshed to align with the executive orders. And so if you have any CACs that were like maybe in the middle of training, they've completed some modules and then um, they hadn't gotten certified yet, but their completions will transfer over and the only difference is that they've been automatically enrolled in the corrected training but they might see their old training modules with a listing of inactive. And that is just because those modules have been updated. So if you needed to go back over, say like module 2, and you already completed module 2, you would just view it in your completed transcript and see the updated version instead of the original version. Yeah, so the training was down from the end of February, February 24th until April 11th, but it is back up there. Every summer, we take training down to update it for the upcoming policy plan year. So this August, training will be dark again and go down, and then it will be back up in mid-September for the plan year 26 training. So if you haven't taken plan year 25 training yet, and you want to be assisting consumers, you would first need to complete your plan year 25 training. And then when training goes dark over the summer period and comes back in the fall, you would need to complete that training for the upcoming plan year as well.
Yeah, and obviously the training being taken down recently was because of the administration change. This is not something that's going
That's
to
not
be
normal.
occurring regularly.
Yeah, it was not normal. So, but it does go down every summer for a go dark period, and then while we load up the upcoming year. Any questions on training?
I do have a question. You had given us a tip in the previous meeting in reference to if we had new CACs that were coming on, and it happened during the go dark period. You suggested to go ahead
Yes.
and do that.
Yep. So, to take the training, you have to have an account with the CMS portal. So to take training, you would log on to portal.cms.gov and you would have to create an account. Now, this account is about you
go smoke.
I'm sorry?
Come.
This training, the account that you have to create is identifying you as a person. So you have to put in your personal information. So your first name and last name, your legal first name and last name that appears like on your government issued ID, your social security number, your home address, your cell phone number, your home email address. And then that information is verified off of Equifax, or Experian. One of the two, one of the E ones. It's verified off of the credit bureaus. It's not a hit to your credit. It's just, they're just making sure that you are who you say you are. This process can be challenging if you haven't done it before, if you don't have very much credit history, you might have to go through the manual identification process instead if you are on the younger side of things, or if like I was divorced and changed my name back, if your credit report hasn't caught up to what your ID says, maybe your credit report has your old name. Things like that are going to make you, it won't automatically approve you, and you would have to go through the manual identification process. If you have entered all of the information correctly using your legal name, your birthday, your social security number, your home address, personal information, and it's saying it can't verify you, your next step is that um, you need to call the Marketplace Service Desk, and they will walk you through the process of submitting documentation. So like a copy of your driver's license, and they have a secure process for you to submit these documents, a copy of your birth certificate, things like that. If you have CACs that are new and they have not created a portal account prior, so if they're coming like from another organization and they had a previous portal account, they just need to log in and change their ID, their CAC ID. You don't want to create more than one portal account. But if they are brand new and they have to go through this process of identity verification, while training is down, I would suggest having those folks, if they're on your staff, go through at least getting their account set up while training is down. So they'll be able to access the portal and create an account. They just won't be able to access the actual training modules. And then once the training modules go live, they'll be ready to go.
And they can get access to RegTap at that time as well, correct?
Yes. Yep. So RegTap is where we have our webinars, and we have a lot of FAQ documents, a lot of publications, all the past webinars. We have all of those things, job aids, guides, all posted to RegTap. So if you have CACs or you're one of the leadership contacts for your organization, you definitely want to sign up and create a RegTap account. You want to make sure that you pick that you're a CAC, um, and uh, and you want to sign up for the webinar series. So every year we have a series for the webinar. So when you register for the series, you get invitations to each webinar that we host during that year. So you just have to register the one time, and then you can decide which ones you want to go to. All the webinars are recorded, and eventually they're posted on RegTap. Um, so as Iva was saying, and I had mentioned this during the last presentation that I did, sometimes that identity verification process takes a while. So if it's better to start that early if you haven't already started it. Once they get an account with the CMS portal, they would want to sign up for the MLMS training, which is the FFM MLMS training as an assister. And then once you get closer to the training, you're on a welcome page. And the welcome page has 5 options for you. You can choose to be a navigator, a CAC. Well, this coming year, it's going to have 4 options. Other or SBEFP. You want to make sure that if you're a CAC, that you're selecting CAC and you're putting a checkbox, and then you put in your CAC ID number. That is how you get credit for your training. Once you complete your training, it takes up to 48 hours for that system to talk to our system where the CAC roster is, and then your completion date will be added to the CAC roster for your training. So if you have CACs that have taken the training and you go check the roster and it doesn't say that they've completed the training, do not panic and do not decertify those people. Just wait. And if 48 hours go by and it still is not showing up, submit a case to the CAC questions inbox help desk and say, Iva took the training. Here's her certificate that you can print from the MLMS system, and the roster is not showing her completion date, and we will fix it. Many times, the number one cause of that is the CAC has taken the wrong training. They took the other, or they took SBEFP instead of CAC training. So you have to make
Missy,
sure.
can I pause there?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that, and I don't know if this functionality is active yet, but we're going to be, when you add someone to the roster, we're going to be auto sending instructions for how to access the training and take the training. Is that active now?
No, that's coming.
Okay.
That's a
Okay.
future deployment. That's on my wish list. So I don't know if
Okay.
that's going
Sorry
to
about
happen.
that.
Yeah, no, that's we have noticed that folks have thought that we are supposed to send out training information to CSEs as they're added to the roster, which we've never done before. So usually that's the organization's job to educate their CACs on where to go and how to take the training, and we provide those materials. They're posted in RegTap, they're posted on cms.gov. So that's something that's a feature that we're thinking might be an added benefit, to have emails go out that says, welcome, you're a new CAC and here are your next steps. It hasn't rolled out yet. It's definitely in the works, and hopefully it'll get rolled out this year. Does anyone have any questions on training?
Sorry to jump the gun on that. I just wanted
Oh, no,
to
that's okay.
make sure they know it's coming, but for right now, to be
Yeah,
sure to send that training information out to your new CACs.
right, right.
Well, Meredith, I got all excited on that one. Um,
See, I knew folks would like that idea.
yes. Melissa, can you talk about whenever we request a CAC ID number, how it becomes immediate?
So you're not actually requesting a number. What you do is if you're one of the leadership contacts, you log into the organizational maintenance web form and you have to add new people to your roster. So you're going to put in their information. An update that we do have coming is we're adding a middle name field and we're adding a preferred name field. Both of these fields are optional. You do not have to use them, but your CMS portal account and your CSE roster account need to match precisely. So for me, I'm Melissa MacLean, but I go by Missy. But my legal name is Melissa. So in the CMS portal, I have to be Melissa. You could not have me on the roster as Missy and have it align and sync up. So it's going to say, no, that's not Melissa. So you have to be listed the same in the portal and in the CAC roster, and it's your legal name that you need to use. So we have added a middle name field because in the portal there is a middle name field, but we didn't have that in the roster. And then sometimes people would squish first name and middle name together in one field and it wouldn't validate. So it was causing problems. So that is a feature that is coming within the next month that should be rolling out. But so basically what you're going to do is you're going to register Melissa MacLean in the CAC portal and I'm sorry, on the CAC roster, and then you're going to assign that person a ID. So you would just assign, and it has to be unique. So usually you just look at your list of CACs, see what the last number was. If the last number ended in a 10, you'd make this next person an 11. So you assign that ID, and as soon as you hit submit all changes, that ID is active. So then your person can go to the portal and register for the training using their ID. One of the other things about CACs that we've run into in the last year is we have some younger folks that are trying to take training. You have to be 18 in order to take the training and have a CMS portal account. So anybody that's 17 or younger, unfortunately, will not pass identity proofing, and they can't operate as a CAC. So you have to be 18. Any other questions? Nobody has any questions about the training and the GoDark or I do have I had a series, a CDO like technical help series or office hours where CDOs can come in and if they're having problems with anything, with the organizational maintenance web form, with renewals, with their agreements, with the roster, or with training, they can attend these sessions on Thursdays and we put them in individual breakout rooms with the person that can help them with whatever issue it is that they're having. We're going to be able to get those started again. We were sort of on a lull for a while, but we're going to be able to get those started again. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, so your leadership contacts would get invitations to that. And if they want to attend or have a CAC that is having any issues, they're welcome to attend those. Again, emailing the CAC questions help desk, which the email address is, Alex has added that to the chat. That's your first resource, first line of defense for anything. And if it's something that is not in our wheelhouse, we usually know where to direct you and we can help you get the solutions. So there's a question in the chat. How do you find out who your leadership contacts are? You can email CC questions and ask, and we'll provide you the names of your leadership contacts. We don't give folks who are non-leadership contacts step-by-step directions for how to do things like adding a CAC to the roster, signing your agreement, things like that, because if you're not a leadership contact, you can't access the maintenance web form and do that anyway. So it wouldn't help anything. So yeah, if you email the help desk CAC questions, you just provide your organization's name if you know your CAC ID number or your CDO ID. Provide that to us and we can look it up and let you know who your leadership contacts are. A lot of times there's a bunch of staff turnover and these contacts become outdated. So that's why it's good to be in the know. Anybody have any other questions?
I wanted to say, I mean, we are listening and we are doing our best to try to be responsive to the issues that you're facing and make this process easier for you. So please always feel free to give us feedback either through Missy or through the CDO questions portal. I mean, us trying to give the automated instructions to training is just one example of how we want to make this as easy as possible within again, within the constraints we have. So we appreciate your feedback and your thoughts because you're on the ground, you're the one that's doing this work, and we appreciate you and want to make this as painless as possible.
Right. Great. Thank you. I put my email in the chat as well. If you have any questions that, can't wait, or because when you send a question into the questions inbox, it does take a few days before you get a response. But if you have something that is a more pressing matter or urgent, you are welcome to email me directly. If there aren't any other questions, or Iva, do you have anything else you want to ask?
I don't think so. You guys are very quiet today. Do you all have any questions at all for Melissa or Meredith or Alex? I just want to stress something, because we do have turnover at our health centers, the importance of making sure and who to contact if a CAC does leave. Just go over that a little bit again, Melissa.
So if a CAC leaves your organization, you would want to, and they're not going to be coming back, you would want to have one of your leadership contacts go to the organizational maintenance web form and access the roster and decertify them. So Alex is going to correct me if I'm wrong, but there should be an edit feature and is there a decertification feature?
Yes. So on the CAC roster, first of all, whenever you sign in, the CAC roster is a whole separate tab. One tab will say organization maintenance. The second tab will say CAC roster.
Up at the top.
At the very top, it's blue. After you select that tab, if somebody is currently active, you will have the options to edit their first name
Last,
last name, not first name.
not first name.
I apologize. You
Last
will be
name
able
and
to,
email address can be
yes.
edited. Those are the two fields that can be edited. Anything else, if you make a mistake on their CAC ID or their first name, you would have to decertify them and then add them back with the correct information.
The only other thing that I was wanting to add was if you have decertified them, you don't need to mess with the record. It stays there for record keeping purposes, but it will not be editable because they have been decertified.
And when you decertify someone, it can't be undone. So that's why we are trying to, um, get folks to understand the importance of using the correct name, the legal name that would match the portal account. Because we can't, sometimes if you're typing too fast or whatever, and you make a mistake in the name, and they've already started their training or something with their ID, and then it gets messed up somehow, a decertification cannot be undone. So, and then also when those completions are not transmitted fast enough to the roster and it's not showing up on the roster, folks sometimes panic and then they just certify that CAC and then add them back with a new ID. And that just creates a whole host of other issues. So decertification should be your last resort. But if you do have somebody who has left your organization, you would want to decertify them. So, and it's pretty simple. It's pretty self-explanatory when you see it on your roster. There's an edit and then there's a decertify button for each person. Anything else? If that you guys can think of. And if you think of questions later, please feel free to shoot an email to either myself or the questions inbox. We're hoping for a smooth go dark and go live period for when the new training comes out. One thing I will mention is for the new training, because there have been changes to the training this year, to align again with the administration, uh, we are no longer going to have the returning training. Everybody is just going to take the same training. So in the past, we have had training for new CACs and then training for folks that come, are taking this training year after year. And there was a difference of one module. So new folks would take modules 2 and 3, but they would not take, I think it was module 9. But then returning folks would not take modules 2 and 3, but they would have to take other modules. There one other extra module. So this time, because there are more substantive changes to this training, everybody's just going to take the training. And it's in the clearance process now, so we'll see how many modules it ends up being. But everybody, I think, is just going to take everything. So, yeah, so you won't see that the returning curriculum this year. And oh, one thing I did want to touch on, because some of you guys are also Navigator grantees. If you're in that spot and you have a CAC who is also a Navigator grantee, you're going to want to check both boxes, Navigator and CAC. Put the corresponding ID, because you'll have a different ID as a Navigator than you will as a CAC. Put in the corresponding IDs in the fields next to the boxes, and then you would enroll in one of the curriculums. So like say it's all the same training, but just so you would enroll in Navigator training, and then you would complete your training, print your certificate, and then you would go back to your available training, and you would then enroll in your CAC curriculum, but then you would just jump to your completed, and it's going to pull all those Navigator module completions over. So you're not going to have to take the training multiple times. You just take it the one time, but you do have to enroll in each one to get the credit to go through correctly, if that makes sense. Also, during the training time, I do a webinar every year that I pre-record so you can watch it at your leisure. And then I have office hours so that if people are struggling, again, you can come ask questions. We can get you sorted out.
All right, Melissa, thank you so much. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns?
And it is true, we are looking for feedback. If you guys have suggestions for how to make your lives easier within this program, we're here to listen and, take it all under advisement, and see what we can do to help, make this program easier for folks. And it's not our goal to make things difficult and to put hurdles in your way. We want to help you be able to help consumers.
Well, Melissa, I want to thank you and Meredith and Alex for joining and being with us today and sharing all of this information. We truly appreciate you. So thank you very much. And thank you to all of you guys that joined with us today. So hopefully this was new information for you, and this is very helpful. Becky and I both, we found that whenever Melissa presented this previously, that this was very helpful, and that's the reason we wanted to share with everybody. And we have this phenomenal relationship with CMS. So thank you again, and thank you to each one of you that joined us today.
Thanks for having me. Again, our email addresses are in the chat. If you want to reach out, we're happy to help.
Zoom.